Introducing the one and only Daniel Johnson.
Hello. I'm going to try my best to stay still this time. So, as you know from last time, my set is about COVID and pretty much how strange and weirdly wonderful it was. It wasn't wonderful, but oh well. So one thing that I think very much stands out about COVID is what happened with the toilet paper. I mean, it was kind of like the apocalypse had arrived and everyone was stocking up on that one thing that they needed. It wasn't food, wasn't water, wasn't clothing. It was something that you'd wipe with after you went to the toilet. I mean, it was great for the people who made toilet paper, but not the general public. I mean, people go mad over it, really. Here's an example. You go up to Tesco to test your chances of getting the last roll of toilet paper. Much to your dismay, you drove all the way here, so you've already got beaten by 40-year-old Jack, the proud owner of a couch, mini fridge, and alcohol, who's currently attempting to fistfight 22-year-old Kate, struggling single mother of three, over the 12-pack of Charmin at the back of the shelf. So that's all I've got. Toilet paper. Another thing is online school. One thing about online school was that it was really difficult to listen and hear. So, I mean, one of the factors was mum was hoovering in the background. Your brother was throwing a fit because dad was trying to shove a cotton bud up his nose to get the COVID test. And dad's being kicked in the face. I mean, one of the big factors for me was nobody wore a uniform, everybody could do what they wanted. So Tommy was in the top left corner, his Minecraft PJs, eating his pasta, spilling his tea down his front. Thankfully, that's it for Keep It Together, Toby. That's it from me. Joseph.
No, you're okay because Daniel's just introduced him.
Hello, everyone. So, I went to a Nigerian school, and it was insane. So there was this one kid I remember. His name was Felicia, and he was like the best in the class. He was the fastest, smartest, oldest in the year, and everyone wanted to be like him. But the one thing I couldn't stand was the teachers comparing us to him. Why can't you run like Felicia? Why can't you answer like Felicia? Why can't you read like Felicia? It was starting to get on my nerves. And another thing I remember as well was noisemakers list. Every time the teacher wanted to go out of the classroom, she'd assign one kid with a pen and paper to write down the names of people making noise. And that person with the pen, power. If they didn't like you, they'll write your name. Joseph. Joseph times 1. Joseph times 2. Joseph times 3 for making future noises. And if your name got on the list, it was GG's. You were game over. You were cooked. And another person I remember from year 1 was this one kid named Darasini. He used to cry a lot, like every single time. If his pencil fell down, he'll cry. If someone blinked at him, he'll cry. If the sun shone too bright, he'll cry. And my teacher, instead of helping him and comforting him, she made a theme song. Every time he'll cry, she'll tell the class 1, 2, 3, sing. You guys want to sing with me this time? Baby, Darcy, why are you crying? You want to see your mom? Or you want to wear a diaper? This didn't stop him from crying. This made him cry even more. And there we are, a class of year 1 just singing like a choir of tiny torturers. In the UK, the teacher will get cancelled before the second verse. In Nigeria, we added harmony. Another thing that I really hated was the essays. Like, it was like having SATs for every single year. And it was hard. Like, we were doing so many like complex work in like year 2. And if we got like a really low score, the teacher would like shame us for like in front of the whole class. But the end of year parties, they were sick. In the UK, it's like a simple leavers party. You get cupcakes, a speech, maybe a photo with your teachers. In Nigeria, it was a full-on celebration. We had people wearing suits, music, dancing, graduation grounds. We had prizes. And after surviving the noisemakers list, for the show, Baby Darcy, and the essays. I think I deserve this. Anyway, goodbye and good night.
Thank you.
Introducing Poppy.
Hello there, my name's Poppy, and my friends have said I have a strong opinion on wait. Let me check. 1, 2, 3. Great. No little kids besides Dixie and Tom. Your primary school was probably a bit like mine. Many rabid, psychotic creatures. No, I'm not talking about the chicks that we all had in reception that died faster than the teacher's motivation. Okay, maybe that's just my school. Let me tell you about how funny I think of it all primary schools were. First up, it would be stupid not to mention the great, the powerful, the almighty wet paper towels! Come on, we've all been there. Your arm's been hanging off by a thread, the bones showing everything. Miss! I've hurt my arm! Here, throw a wet paper towel on it. Probably thinking, oh, Poppy, that's pointless. That won't do anything. If I tell you those little wet paper towels, pure magic, ooh. Those wet paper towels could heal war injuries if their teachers put their mind to it. Okay? Next kind of event for every primary school. Quote-unquote relationships and marriages. The guy would get down on one knee with a Haribo ring that they nick out of Miss Anderson's desk. Marry me, Jessica, I love you! No, you don't, Jacob. You're 8.5 and Jessica looks like the other mother from Coraline with a high ponytail. Well, that's nice, isn't it? The girl would go get her best friends as her bridesmaids, quote unquote. No one really cared about the bishop. You just had to include him, or else Miss Anderson would come out. Why are you not including Tommy? We all have to play together, guys. Let's all be friends. Yeah, you can be the bishop. And all the girls would go picking flowers, which were probably just weeds and berries off of the bushes. And they'd lob them in the air. It was beautiful, and all that gorgeous effort just for them to divorce a day later. My oh my. That was successful, wasn't it? Those on the list, the teachers. If there's one thing I have to complain about, it's the teachers. Pretty accurate example. You know those mystery flavour jelly beans? You know the ones, you get a pretty good one, it's nice, you can tolerate it. You get a really sour, nasty, disgusting one, like others, and you never want to encounter it ever again. Yeah, that was my two teachers. Ooh. Polar opposites. One would come inside and they'd go, oh, Pops, come on inside, take the register, and we'll start the lesson. And the other would just go, oh, Poppy, sit down. Like, where did your patients go? Did they go along with your paycheck? It's not, is it? There's many more topics I probably should be covering, but I don't think I have enough time to go on and on and on about that. So, thank you and good night. Introducing Dixie. Hello, everyone. Hello.
English schools are genuinely insane because half the people in my classes just wake up each morning and they say, you know what, I'm going to ruin someone's self-esteem today. So they decide to, for some unknown reason, to not put deodorant on. Seriously, I need to invest in a gas mask. They fluff up their hair and they arrive at school. First lesson, history. Sir, what's prostitution? Oh! Then, in maths, they're spraying Lynx Africa all over the room. And their friends just sit swinging on their chairs going, ooh, go on, lad. There's also the popular girls, quote unquote. How they became popular is an unsolved mystery. But how to identify them is simple. Step 1, equip the black light. Step 2, turn on said black light. Step 3, look for someone whose skin is glowing bright orange. Their eyelashes are so thick they get like body shamed by caterpillars. And when you try to be nice to them, they just look at you like this. These two genres of people usually end up dating for a week, a month if it's a long-term relationship. But when that time period is over, you open their Snapchat story to say, single. Next up is Michelle.
Ah,
Hi, my name is Michelle, and this is my community. First of all, let's talk about the year sevens. Why are they so tiny? They get tinier and tinier every year. My friend and I were standing outside the toilet and waiting for it, and when it opened, the tiniest year seven came out, and he was like, "You guys can use the toilet now," and I physically had to like look down to make eye contact with him. Next, I don't know who in the head teachers think they're tough. They are not tough. Whenever they're trying to release us from assembly, they're like, "First row, you may go." And it's like, honestly, you are not a choir director. You know. Now, let's talk about students. We all have this one kid that will see everyone with their iPhones and be like, "Oh, I have an iPhone, but it's at home." Like, okay, bro, we all know you have a Nokia at home, stuff like that. Then there's always one guy that will flip chairs and tables, throw pens everywhere, shout at the teacher. The teacher will finally give them a detention and they'll be like, "Why are you always picking on me? I didn't do anything." But yeah, that's how secondary schools are in the UK. Right. Yeah, next.
Told my wife she was drawing her eyebrows too high. She seemed surprised. I need to now do something at work, like pens or Santi. I'm great at multitasking. I can waste time, be unproductive, and procrastinate all at once. Saw a sign that said, "Watch for children." I thought, that sounds fair enough. People use selfie sticks need to realise no one see your face that close up. Introducing Gabriella. Hello everyone.
Hi, Gabby.
Today I'm going to be talking about what it's like to be like performer, be part of like the theatre industry. So of course we usually start the day or like when we're doing like some performance stuff by doing some vocal warm-ups to avoid our worst fear of getting a voice crack. And to an outside perspective, these vocal warm-ups sound like we're trying to teach ourselves to speak in a forbidden, long-lost alien language. So I used to take these voice lessons from a teacher in my secondary school for a while, and of course we started the day like normal with some vocal warm-ups, and we started off with the usual. And then we have to do other stuff that sounds like a little more weird, like for trying to do this one's go younger, younger. Yeah, and then we had to do, of course, we had mixed sounds like this. And then in comes walking in this random year 7 girl who looked completely confused, probably wondering why construction noises are coming from the classroom. So I did quite a few shows at my secondary school. You know how teachers say you have to bring stuff in, usually for costume or for props. One day she said we need to bring in like dresses and shoes, maybe have some bows. And I was like, "Miss, will you provide the arrows for us with these bows?" So one day my teacher also said to maybe bring in like a lily for a scene, and I ended up finding my friend Lily, and I took her to class one day. And my teacher looked at me so disappointed and shook her head. She then asked if I had the bat for this sports scene, but I had to tell her that as soon as I tried to bring it to school, it flew away and there was nothing I could do to get it back. So, you know how you can practice things over and over again and they go wrong? horribly wrong at the last moment. For example, usually when you have an audition, you practice a song over and over again, and you think you're starting to get the hang of it, and just as you're about to sing that sweet high note in that audition to really impress the panel you're auditioning for, your voice cracks at the last moment. And so I was doing the show once where we had to end the number by following the floor, and there were like lots of boxes that had to be moved during it, and so we had to practice this over and over again to make sure like it had to end properly, and people had to stand in the boxes for like levels, because that's really important for scenes when they're being directed. And so on the final day of the performance, someone didn't do their job, as one box was still where it was in its original place, and I knocked my head on it. Well, at least the number ended with a bang in some way.
Introducing the one and only Lily McKay!
Hello. Hi. I'm here to talk to you about somebody that I know. Do you ever have someone who wants absolutely nothing to do with you, and yet you keep persisting with them?
Yes.
That's basically my relationship with our Lyndon. He lives directly next door to us, and I really want to be his mate, you know. But whenever I come over, he tries everything that he can to get rid of me, and I just have no idea why. When he does feel like putting up with me, sometimes I ask about what life was like when he was my age back in the First World War. And when I ask him that, he always just looks at me as if to say, like, get no material, mate. There's more ways to call me old than that. That's pathetic. Once he told me about when he were a lad and he asked for Coke and got a canned drink. I thought that'd be perfectly normal, but I guess not, really. But another time, he told me about how he got a bottle of Dr. Pepper and his head teacher confiscated it. So, to prove a point, he made a plan. The next morning, he brought a bottle of juice to school. Teachers were on him, but he was like, you can't do it out, sir, it's not fizzy, so it's not against the rules. Then the next day, he brings in like a mug of coffee into school with him. Teachers get on him again. And like, you can't do anything, sir, it's not against the rules. You only said fizzy drinks. And then the next morning, he brings this whole like gallon water bottle. And when the head teacher gets on, like, he's like, come on, mate, you're not going to ban water, are you? So he will do anything that he can to prove a point. And sometimes I ask him about my opinions on certain famous people. Namely, a certain orange-faced gentleman. So I asked him, hey, listen, what do you think of that Donald Trump fella? And he was like, oh, proper weird him. Half the time he's wearing a sailor shirt and you can't understand what he's saying. And I was like, what? And he said, you know him, you're the one who asked me about it. And I was like, mate, you're thinking of Donald Duck, mate. And he's like, well, and he's like, no. And I'm like, yeah. And I looked up Donald Duck and showed him a picture. And I said to him, you're thinking of this guy, right? And he was like, well, what's Donald Trump look like then? So I look him up and I show him Trump, and he just looks at him with disgust. And he says, God, I bet he makes Clementines jealous. I didn't understand that. Thank you for your time. I'll be in the psych ward.
To the stage, Sophie!
Do you know what I love and hate? Food. Especially shopping for food. You know, I love it on my own, wandering around Tesco's, hunting around the sweets aisle and getting excited by the club card prices. But when my dad's there, oh my god. I'll pick up a pack of chicken nuggets and my dad is spawning behind me out of nowhere, shoving another bag of chicken nuggets with a big reduced sticker on them in my face, being like, these are Tesco's own, they're cheaper and you get more. And I'm just stood there looking at him thinking, I just want my chicken nuggets. Like, my stomach's growling, I couldn't care less if the Tesco's own or fresh from the chicken nuggets are chicken nuggets. And then, you've got restaurants. Don't get me wrong, they're lovely if you go somewhere decent. But I'm so hungry, I'm dying for a meal, and then, just when it comes, my food hasn't even touched my taste buds, the waiter's coming over asking me how it is. Like, and then all of a sudden, my parents are staring me down with their empty plates as I struggle to stomach the food I've just begged for. And then the other thing is food delivery. Like, it's amazing how I can be sat in bed and then, like, suddenly I'm eating McDonald's and all I had to do was open the door to a scary person asking me for a code. But the delivery prices are crazy. Like, what do you mean I have to pay £15 for a pizza that costs, like, £7? So then I have to force myself to finish my food, even if I feel absolutely sick, because it's cost me my whole savings. So I'm now sat here stuffed, no self-dignity and a huge hole in my bank account because I've just spent crazy money on a normally £5 burger because I can't work the oven properly and there was no air fryer food left.
Hi, as some of you may know, I have quite the age gap with my little brother. There's 10 years between us. So as you might expect, the sibling dynamic tends to be a little different than usual. My personal favourite experience with my brother was when he did this massive poo after Christmas in the middle of the train track that he got, and it was just sat there for about an hour and no one realised until we smelt it. But there's definitely like a hidden metaphor in there. We won't go that deep. On the topic of poo, having a 4-year-old brother definitely opened you up to a whole new world of literature. One of my top favourites would have to be Everybody Poos. The moving message that no matter what shape, size, smell, consistency, we all poo at the end of the day. Who knew poo would convey such unity between people? My favourite comment of my brother's about Everybody Poos was that the elephant poo illustration looked like a potato and the mouse's poos looked like raisins. How lovely. Another one of my favourite bits of literature was Everybody Wears Pants, which the kind of like climax at the end is this: there's no pants and there's just a bare bum of this little boy in the book that my brother finds absolutely hilarious. But yeah, that's life with a 4-year-old. Thank you.
Welcome to the stage, Isabel.
Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about like how people frustrate me, and the first annoying thing that people do that just really gets on my nerves is like the slow walkers in the school corridors. Like, I'm not trying to run to my lesson, but the way you look, people will be questioning if you're like slow more for dramatic effect. And another annoying thing that people do is when people just don't show. Like, some people talk so much, I start checking for a mute button, but that doesn't exist. So then I try and get a word in, but then an end to their sentence doesn't exist either. One time, another thing that annoying talkers do is my neighbour knocked on my door just for a chat. 45 minutes later, and it was Doug's birthday, his cousin's favourite soup, and the history of his fence. He asked me if I wanted to come over for a coffee sometimes. I said sure, and I'll check my calendar. I still haven't found that calendar, and I still don't plan on it. At an open evening, I saw an old friend as well, and I cut off contact with a couple of years ago. She said hi to me and I walked away and pretended like I didn't hear her as she shouted after me. This isn't me being rude, but if people weren't so irritating, I wouldn't have to be.
Welcome to the stage, Tom.
Hi. One second. So, hi, I'm Tom, and I'm fed up of spending so much money on a show just to spend the same amount on ice cream, and next thing you know, mate, never mind your experience being crushed by the so-called ignorant people. For example, when you're walking through the doors of the theatre, just waiting to be smashed with the magical musicals, but instead I get smashed in the face with strawberry and cotton candy vape and a hint of cigarette rotting in my lungs. And in return, I give them the most rusty, crusty look ever known to mankind, while holding my breath like me trying not to laugh when somebody starts crying because they fell over. Then, I finally get into the nice, clean air full room with no worries nor stress until I hear that deafening scream of a 10-year-old dead baby, not knowing it is currently having my life. Then after hurtling through the war zone children after their mum refused to buy them a £35 teddy, by the way, that would only be sat at the back of their wardrobe, never to be seen again. I finally get to the merch stand, yet to find out the queue could get you to China and put back, plus the war, that I mean woman filming a set of TikToks shouting at everyone to get out the way. But then speak to the camera like, "Hi guys, today I'm in the one and only home," while posing like she's on a catwalk. And the most important person of the world shimmying with her arms, flinging them everywhere like there's a massive spider crawling up her. Little does she know, she looks like thing one, and she's killed the other thing two for not liking her vids. Then I finally get to the stand, just to find out that they have sold everything out. So then I take my seats empty-handed to have my amazing planned photos smashed into a million pieces, as I can already see an even bigger BFG walking through row A and happens to sit right in front of me. I don't know if it's just me, because I'm small. Well, it probably is, because I still have to have a booster seat, as there's a humongous 9-year-old sat in front of me, all matched out in their brother's year 6 leavers droop. Thank you, Tom Norris, goodbye.
Do you ever realise how technology basically turned us all into emotional support humans for our phones? Like, my phone complains more than I do. I know, that must be a lot. The other day, it popped up saying, storage full, like, same. I just had a Palmo and took 50 pictures of it before eating it. We're both struggling. I forgot to tell you, I've got a new friend. We're in a bit of a toxic relationship though. Her name's Siri. Like, I'll say, "Hey Siri," and she'll reply, "What do you want now? Excuse me, you live in my phone and you don't pay rent." The other day I said, "I love you, Siri," and she goes, "I respect you as a human being." Thanks, real romantic. I was thinking the other day, I can't imagine what it's like to live with someone who's bipolar. Then I remembered, I've got TalkTalk Wi-Fi. 1 minute it's fine, next minute my mates on call sound like robots on crack. Do you remember getting your first phone? I do. I was so excited, and then I immediately opened Snapchat and tried all the filters and turned into a dog. My parents thought I joined a cult. And now everyone's posting their morning routines like they're in a movie trailer. 6 a.m. I rise with gratitude. No, you don't, Sophie. You rise with 14 alarms and regret. I hate how we have to reply to every message now. You can't even open one without being exposed. Delivered, 901. Read, 902. All right, Sherlock, calm down. Maybe I'm just trying to ignore you, just politely. Social media's even ruined birthdays. Used to be cards, cake, the whole shebang. Now I just get 30 HBDs on Snapchat from people I haven't spoken to since year 7. Like, thanks Theo. Glad to know you still care enough to type 3 letters. At this point, between Siri, autocorrect, and my Wi-Fi, I'm basically in 3 toxic relationships.
Hi everyone, I want to talk to you about holidays. As every kid knows, holidays are the best, and there are 3 things you need for a holiday to be the best it can be. Number 1, food. At the buffet, we all avoid the most delicious looking food possible and go straight towards the plain pasta right over at the other side of the restaurant. The only colour that will be shown on my plate is beige. Food like chips, chicken nuggets, and then more chips and more chicken nuggets. Once I went on holiday and there was no chips. I went over to a staff member and I asked where the chips were, and he shook his head as this was about the 10th time he was asked this in the span of 5 minutes. Like, I'm sorry, but what buffet doesn't have chips? Like, are they trying to starve me? They clearly had just seen the 2 ice creams I'd ate and thought she is too young to go on Ozempic. Number 2, holiday fuzzies. As we all know, there is always that one person, boy or girl, depending on who you are, that is staring at you the whole holiday, and you think that it might actually work until you realise that you actually live on opposite sides of the world. There was once this boy, and we'd been making eye contact the whole holiday,
and he finally plucks up the courage to talk to me. And the first thing he says is, "Hola, ¿cómo estás?" I knew it was over. I knew a bit of Spanish from school, but not enough to actually have a conversation. So I just stood there speechless, and he was staring at me, confused, and slowly walked backwards awkwardly. Number 3, buying gifts for friends. When I was younger, I used to buy little friendship bracelets. You might think, oh, that's cute. Well, no, it wasn't. One time I bought this bracelet for my friend, and I was so excited to give it to her. When I gave it to her, she said, "I don't like that colour, get me another one." I'm sorry, do you want me to fly all the way to Turkey and get you one? Because that was not happening. I just stood there having no idea what to say. She then had the audacity to say, "You better start going so you get back tonight." Did she know that Turkey takes 5 hours to get there and it was already midday? I was assuming that she actually thought I was going back, so I ran off and I've never spoke to her since. Anyway, thank you for listening.